Hey, what's going on, Personality Blueprint community? I wanted to touch a little bit on a conversation I had earlier with one of the partners at my company regarding people and their scope of, I guess, not influence, but their superpower and what they should be focused on. We have a guy that works with us that you know needs to be pushed in certain ways to do his best work. And I got on the topic of this, of really kind of alluding to this idea that we should all be operating, and not only we should all be operating in our scope of power, our space of what not only brings us the most energy, but the most qualitative work, the most impact we have on others in the world, right? And everybody's designed a certain way. Everyone's built with certain ingredients, some less and some more than others, right? And I've done a lot of hiring in my past and over this past year and change, and every time I speak to a new hire or even an interviewee, I always come from this context of people have certain ingredients, and you take those ingredients and you input them in different places and experiences, and they either work or they don't work. And in my business, I utilize what I know. I tap into what I know about these ingredients, and I see them in people. And I for the folks that do have the ingredients for sales, let's say, I help them tap in and discover those untapped skills that they could have. And really, it's a shame because so many people are walking around in life, untapped, with untapped ingredients, undiscovered ingredients, or aware of these ingredients, aware of who they are, aware of the potential that they might have, but they either have an estranged relationship with these abilities and ingredients that they have, or they've just been conditioned to be to negate, to run away, to avoid their superpowers. This is very common. When you're born in an environment that tells you no, right? If you're a bird that was told not to fly, right? If you were a fish that was told not to swim in water, right, but to climb a tree, right? There's some kind of ancient Chinese saying that kind of I'm alluding to here, but the point is, when we wrap this all up in psychological terms and these different psychological frameworks, something interesting happens, right? When you start to develop a sense of awareness, as some of my team members have on my in my business, you start to operate differently. You start to get a certain level of comfort. The fact that other people understand how you work and what your needs are, and how you need to be encouraged and pushed. It's such a inspiring feeling when other people can show up for you in the ways that you need, and in moments of weakness or in moments of hardship, you feel security and not separation, right? And obviously, this is, I'm speaking about this all in a business point of view, because we were speaking about one of our team members at the office today, and he gets very sidetracked and obsessive about the one deal he's closing, but everyone has their strengths and their weaknesses, right? And as someone who has to see a bigger picture and manage and lead, I have to provide that room and that flexibility for others. It's definitely helped that I have spent years learning about people through these systems and having these deep conversations and interviewing people and testing and also being in the trenches myself. A lot of my career has been in sales before I became an entrepreneur. And the ingredients part is so important. I think if you asked any of the partners at our business, they would say, what are Dan's top three sayings, right? One of my top sayings, I always say, in a perfect world, for whatever reason, in a perfect world, that's just me. The other is ingredients, right? Everyone's got ingredients that they're working with, and everyone's got their own superpower. And, to wrap this brief memo up, you have a superpower, whether you are aware of it or not, regardless of your relationship of it, or, and if you're not aware of it, great. This is a place where you can really discover and align yourself with a life and a journey that can speak to your heart and your soul, and it can give you purpose and mission, more so than now. Even if you are super aligned right now, you can never have more and more refinement, right? Refinement is key when you're already on a steady path. So listening to this, think about, as a challenge maybe, what are your ingredients? What is your superpower? How has society or your family or your close friendships and relationships, what has been negated that you've attempted to bring into your environment? What have you tried to push into your world that has been rejected and negated? And sometimes the answer is as easy as seeing it in that light, seeing what was rejected from what you want, from what feels natural. But challenge yourself in thinking about what your ingredients could be. What potential do you have still at this day in the game for you, in this chapter, right? I'll leave it off with this. Your ingredients, what's your superpower? Everyone's built a certain way. And are you prepared to be flexible for most people you meet? Can you provide that empathy and flexibility in working with others and in communication? If not, which I suspect most people, including myself, I'm not saying I'm exempt of this, but most people are. And so the journey is to close the gap, to show up for others in a big way, to show up for others in a way that would set the standard for communication and really for yourself. It's all a reflection of the self. It's all a reflection of your own relationship and attitudes of yourself, and it's only manifested to others, right? So now, with that being said, I will finish off this memo. Let me know if you guys want to hear more of these memos. I will do plenty more of them, and we'll do more videos as well. I'm just, I'm in a darker setting today, so I thought a memo would be good enough. Talk to you next time.